Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the final walkthrough or final X's and O's analysis of what we see in the spring game. Yeah, I know we're into camp here, but I'm going to pepper this with some observations from some of what I've gotten out of camp and from different source stuff from camp as well. So make this valuable, and then we'll launch into the Bryles offense series and talk a little bit about what they're doing in terms of defensive changes as well over the next week or two. I didn't want to put some of those up before camp ended and before while Boise is still looking through some of the early teams on the schedule are still looking through Florida State coverage for things that will help them. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this one, and then we will launch into that series very shortly, and I'll release those videos before the season. So let's go ahead and get to it. We left off after the Akers touchdown. Now we're back to the Gold offense with Blackman at quarterback here. Now, what I want to look at here first and foremost is defensively. You'll notice that they're in a 4-man line of scrimmage here, which is something you will see some this year when they're in this nickel package. But basically what you'll see more of is a true odd look where this guy's going to be off and then he'll come up, he'll run up, or this guy's going to be off and he'll run up, or one of these guys is going to come to one of the gaps as a fourth rusher more often than not. They really have been installing more true odd stuff, and this is an area actually where, for those of you who are skeptical, Barnett is really capable. I mean, he ran a lot of what he was best known for, and what people came to Michigan State to study is his Delta package stuff, which was a lot of blitz heavy third down packages, and we saw some of that last year. Even though they were pretty vanilla overall, they installed a lot of the Delta stuff for third down and long yardage type stuff. That's what he really is best known for, and that's odd front stuff primarily. And they're just going more to that sort of odd front principle overall, not just in Delta packages and all that. All they're doing with the Delta stuff is they're reducing their size, and they'll do a lot of the same sorts of things with smaller, quicker personnel. So let's go ahead and get to this. A little jet sweep action here, and this is basically two-back football. They're lining up an H-back here in the backfield to serve as a lead blocker on ISO. I mean, this is just standard ISO, double team here, ISO the backer, and let the back get moving forward. And the thing about this, you'll notice they're really emphasizing these double teams up front, and they're trying to move guys, and they're going to do a ton of that all year, and basically just trying to get running backs to linebackers. And the thing that they're working on, and they've done so much better on in terms of camp, is communication and making sure that they get a hat on the first level guys before worrying about anybody else, and still being able to get somebody to the key backer so that the back at least has a chance, and that's a big difference from last year. So that's a plus. All right, moving on. This is play action. Now, a couple things here, and this is something that Blackman, from what I understand, is still an issue in practice in fall camp. This is one of those things you'll see on this one and the next one. He's late. Watch him. I'll play this regular speed here. Watch what happens here in how he'll kind of not quite double clutch here. He'll double clutch on the next one, but get rid of it. And he's waiting just a little bit longer than he should, and then it's an inaccurate throw as well. But this is something he's going to have to get better at. Yeah, I don't really care about seeing a former player. I'm wanting to focus on what's going on here. So now we get same 11 personnel, but they're flexible enough with the guys that they've got to move one of them out. Now, one other thing I should mention in terms of running game is that you'll see a lot, especially against Boise, and that's I've gone back and I've looked at some Boise versus Baylor back when those two teams played, and Boise was still running the same defensive system that they're running now. Basically, looking at what they did, I expect some bigger packages up front. This is where you'll see Jalen Goss lined up as a sixth offensive lineman, as an extra tight end, basically, and they'll go heavy with that, and then a blocking tight end to try to get what they want up front. This is the thing about Briles is going to want to run the football, and if he can't run the football with a full spread, he'll find ways to do it. Still be out of the shotgun, but he'll find ways to get heavy personnel on the field to force you to defend the run, because then he's going to be able to get the shots downfield he wants with these guys outside. But he's fine putting just two receivers out there, going heavy personnel, and then forcing you to pull the extra guys into the box and then getting the one-on-one still that he wants outside. Now, here's a good example of, see that double clutch? Watch this here. This is what Blackman continues to need to work on. And that right there, he sees it, but then he double clutches. Sees it, and ball should be gone now. Just go ahead and get rid of it. Don't wait on it. Don't question what you're seeing. Put the ball in there, because if you pump like that, now you're drawing guys to the area you're going to throw, and that's going to be a problem. Plus, throw while you've still got a little more space. And if you need to, just anticipate and throw into that window. Yes, this is an accurate throw to Helton, and yes, this is a nice play, but this is the sort of thing that'll get you in trouble. I mean, this is E.J. Manuel used to do this at times, where you see that little double clutch because he sees it, but he doesn't trust it, and you've just got to be willing to throw it into the window. And again, that's something that they're still working with him on in camp right now. He's just got to get the ball out quicker and make the decision instead of double clutching and then getting the decision. And see, that one is more decisive. This is this looks like an RPO, but it's true play action. See him duck his head. He's not looking at anybody. And now you're just throwing behind the backer. Dangerous throw, but right in the window, good throw. Give me Helton as the slot guy. That's the guy I really like in the slot. You'll see a lot of this particular little screen action, getting it way wide, and this is something against Boise, and we'll cover this a little bit more in the pre-Boise film session when I break down what Boise does defensively. This right here is is what to expect a bunch of against Boise. Because Boise will match up very similarly to this on the outside, and Florida State's going to want to give their receivers a chance. This is just running game for Briles. Again, I mentioned he's going to find ways to run the football. Well, that's part of the running game for him. Nice job by Blackman to pump him out of there. And this here is a similar setup to what, again, they're already prepping against what Boise runs there coverage-wise, and that's the sort of thing that that you'll see. Now, this here, directing traffic, getting the ball out. One thing I want to point out, last year, if a quarterback had stood in the pocket for this long, would he have had the time to make that throw? I think the answer is pretty clear. This is in the spring, and the offensive line has gotten better even into the fall. He's got enough time to make that throw. Yeah, I see you, Prime. And once again, this is just a pre-snap RPO. This is a run play. They're just running split zone here with the H-back across. But what they're watching, they're looking at where he's positioned and how far off the ball he is. And as soon as he's coming back into the box, get it out. You've got at least 3 yards before anybody touches you. Fall forward, you should get 4. Now, this is not good. Harrison is too timid here. He's got to, instead of stopping and trying to make a guy miss here, the rule for Briles is 4 for the team. You got to get 4 yards. Otherwise, this play isn't worth it. So get outside, run up the back out here. Don't stop. Don't let him leverage you. Get right out here, and if you have to, dive forward for that extra 2 yards. But he's trying to make a bigger play. Only gets about 2 yards. He needs to get at least 2 more yards on that for that to be worthwhile. Yeah, this is one of those little split zone deals again, where they play action and come across to the H back underneath. That's a good little play. Again, connects well with what their overall system is. Now we get some kicking stuff. That's all very nice, but we're not going to pay too much attention to it. All right. Travis is running third by far right now in practice. I mean, during team and 2 minute and such, he's not even getting reps all the time right now. So because Hornibrook and Blackman are splitting reps with the 1s and 2s, and so it's good to see him at this point, and it's really good that he got cleared. But ultimately, they're not expecting him to be getting a ton of reps this year, though he is a guy that for the future has a chance. Once again, I want to highlight. Yeah, is he the most graceful dancing bear? No, but the length and all of this from the right tackle here from Chaz Neal. There's a reason he's kind of the swing offensive tackle right now. He's one of the 2 backups there at offensive tackle and has actually worked in with the 1 some. They're pleased with his progress, which is saying a lot, because I was not really in favor of them recruiting him the year that they recruited him, but they felt like they could take the big body and make it into an offensive lineman, and it looks like they were right. Once again, this is just the basic little screen package, and that's where this is how it's done, although he's got a little better block. Get vertical, be aggressive, don't be timid, get your first down. That's a good run play. Really good play by DJ. Now this is much closer to what you're going to see defensively early on in the first few games. 3 bigs right there. So you're looking at 3 big down linemen. Marvin Wilson next to Durden, next to, and I'm not sure who that is, 95. I'd have to double check that these days. But you put and then outside of those 2 guys, you've got your 2 edge rushers here that are playing off the edge. That's what you're going to see a lot of. This odd front look. This is their default now. And what I really like that they've done, and what's made a really big difference in camp, has been putting Lars Woodby at that money backer, at that will backer, and then and putting him next to Jackson, and all of a sudden inside backer has gone from a little bit of a question mark to a legitimate strength, because you basically have a safety there who's 230 pounds. So that's become a legitimate strength there, and allowed them to do some things defensively that they couldn't do otherwise. Once again, this is not even the full starting offensive line. Watch this. This is with, keep in mind, this is against Durden and Marvin Wilson on the interior. This is not against walk-ons here. You got Marvin Wilson. This is a starting group. You've got Janarius Robinson, Durden, Marvin Wilson, and Warner, and look what happens. There's space. That's more than the 2 yards before contact that Florida State running backs had all season last year on one play. Look at that. Nice little burst from Kaylon LeBourne. But Again, this is really simple. And notice this is just inside zone. And look at how they're getting vertical. Now, Meadows actually misses his assignment here. He's trying to get vertical, but the guy he's supposed to get to is right in front of him with Wilson, and Wilson kind of overruns the play. But still, what sticks out to me is right there. Point of attack. Getting some work up front. They're going to be able to run the football this year in ways that they could not last year. I expect to see a solid year from the running backs in this offense. And see there, you get a little bit of a reaction from the quality defensive line responding to getting gashed before. But now it's at least a competition. And again, get that on the edge. Get your 4 yards. Go down, protect the ball. Tempo here real high. And again, you're going to see some of this where you've got Goss right there. A little scary there in terms of leg stuff for a team that's not real deep in terms of running backs. And here we have Warren Thompson with his long one. And I'll tell you this, Thompson, Dugans felt Thompson and Young were maybe a year away coming out of the spring. This, though, is a really good play by Thompson, understanding how to set up and take away the leverage of that defender. This is a mature route. Notice how he stems up, gets vertical, and then steps inside, gets him tied up, and then gets downfield. Big play here. But here's the thing. Thompson has developed. He obviously worked really hard over the summer and into camp. He has made bigger strides than I thought. I mean, from the source stuff that I've from my sources, I was skeptical that, the preseason camp hype, especially in the media viewing portions, tends to come a year early for receivers. I don't think it's a year early for Thompson. I think he's going to have a really nice year contributing on the outside. Now, he's still inconsistent and has some drops here and there. I mean, some Keith Gavin-esque drops at times, but you're looking at a guy that's going to be getting some significant reps and is going to be a valuable player outside. He's ready to go overall. Just needs to get a little more consistent. I think Young is still really more closer to a year away on some things. Although the funny thing about that is Young actually is a more natural catcher oftentimes than Thompson. He's just a little further away in some other respects. Nice little catch there from and this offense was made for guys like Helton and Matthews. Yep, that's a hold. Now, this is where Jawan Williams still has a ways to go. But I will say this. He's gotten a lot further coming into camp. I mean, he'd had a good spring and was getting there, but he's a lot stronger, a lot more confident, and his technique has improved over the course of the summer and into camp. So you're seeing this less, but here's where Kando just has him beat. And, this is where you've got to learn, don't take the slow stutter. Get your depth. This is just slow standing up. This is fatigue and being slow standing up. His first step, you notice, first thing he does, pads come up. He steps inside a little bit and never gets depth to set and turns sideways. And we've talked about a lot on this video analysis channel. When you see an offensive lineman's shoulders turn sideways, that's bad. You want to see staying closer to parallel to the line of scrimmage. Well, that's what you call a hold, folks. But rather have that than get the quarterback killed. So that's a little better from Williams here. Good to, again, see him fight back the next play. Now he does get overpowered a little bit by Janarius. But again, that's not happening as much now because he, handled his nutrition and his training in the off season better to be able to get where he needs to get. Now you'll see again some of this type of personnel in long yardage this year. But but again, the main difference is that you've had a few position changes coming into camp. And you'll see a lot more of this kind of bringing pressure from different angles in this in the new scheme, and it really is a new scheme. It's a completely different thing that they're doing compared to what they did last year across the board. Coverage wise, it's similar, but they're going to be more. It's just very different what they're doing up front. Now this looks a little bit more like last year up front, with Cooper just overpowering the center. That's Bavion just getting ragdolled a little bit there. Cooper's a big, powerful man, and Bavion needs to be able to hold up there. Center's a tough position to play. Once again, I want you to note, looking and late. And notice he's throwing. Notice how he doesn't look like he's fully stepping in. He's kind of throwing, and his weight is not shifting where it should, and you've got a defender who's undercutting and all because everything's late right there. And this is the problem. This is what they've got to get fixed to prevent guarantee you that's along the lines of what he was saying. You got to make the decision quicker. Got to see it. Trust your eyes. Pull the trigger. And even here, even though the result is good, I mean, this should have been a pick. Even though the result is good, he's a little late and he's pulling the string a little bit instead of really getting his weight through that throw. Get it out there a little quicker. That's pretty good hops from the freshman here. And once again, notice how deep down the field McCray gets. So the line of scrimmage is on the 40, roughly, 42. He's 25 yards down the field covering his zone in this. That's really good range from a linebacker, but once again, that's got to be picked. And this is just a bad throw by Blackman. The throw is actually there. If he puts it right up in here, there's space. And you see the frustration from Terry. Just put it out there. Put it 15 yards, 10 yards further up here, and that's a touchdown. He's going, there's nobody up here. Look at all that space. Throw to the space. See, he's looking. He's like, was there a guy there I didn't know about? No, there wasn't. Just throw to the space. And again, it's those little things that are keeping Blackman from just running away with the job, which you'd like him to do as a leader. But ultimately you've got to be able to make those throws and make them reliably and on time. Once again, this is bread and butter for what Briles is doing. It's basically the way that you coach this is it's essentially wide ISO. So you get a block here and then a lead blocker on the secondary defender, and you're just running ISO. Get the ball out of bounds. Good to get a 2-minute drill here. And what are you doing? You do the same thing, and once again, location is a little iffy, and he's telegraphing this a little bit. Pump it, and don't wait. Plus, note where your defenders are. If anything, you're going to wait here and put that ball on the inside a little bit so that the backer can't get to it. Placement's not as good as it could be. See, when you see the backer there, come on the inside of him. When he's coming out hard like that, throw it behind his ear, and then this is just end of half. Throw it up to Terry, throw it up to your guy. Same thing here. Just get rid of it, and they're trying to do their thing. Now, this guy, again, is pretty special with the ball in his hand, and some of the stuff they're doing, it's been really a revelation, putting him in the backfield in a Percy Harvin-type role, motion him in, and hand him the ball. He's got some jets there that can help you. Though, again, you've already got Akers there, so you don't want to do it too much. But, giving him some opportunities to get the ball from other positions in camp has been a really good decision. So that'll do it for evaluating some of the spring game stuff. The next stuff I'm going to put up on this channel is some Briles offense material, and I've got some all 22 stuff that I've been able to cobble together. It's not exactly easy to get some of that stuff for on the Briles offense. They do a good job of making sure that doesn't leak, but I do have a little bit, and we'll be able to look at some of what they'll be doing this year and how that's a little bit different than what Florida State's done in the past. But until then, this has been the Unconquered Podcast, Patreon channel, X's and O's breakdowns. I'm your host, Jason Staples. Thanks for listening and watching and hanging out.